Thanks, Chris. And we are in the clinical center. We're very happy to be a partner again in Rare Disease Day. We're a little sorry that you aren't all in the clinical center and getting to visit with us. We are very proud of the clinical center and the work we do over there. But it's I really thought we should have had like a graduation ceremony. Somebody should be playing Pomp and Circumstance or something like that, because if there's a good reason for you not to be there, it is because you've outgrown the largest auditorium we have in the clinical center, and I'm very, very happy that that has happened. This is, I guess, the 12th International Rare Disease Day. It's the 9th NIH celebration, and it's my third event as CEO. Now, in those first 2 years, I learned a couple of things. First of all, if you're going to hang with the NCATS crowd and Chris Austin, and you want anybody to notice you, you better bring your A game. This is my A game. So I don't have the professional singing voice, and I don't have the hair, but I've got the suit. And if we go military uniforms next year, I've got it hands down. We have had a lot of changes in the clinical center over the course of last year. We have a new chief operating officer, Pius Ayalewo. We have a new chief of internal medicine, a new chief of radiology and imaging sciences, and a lot of rare disease protocols go through radiology. There's an awful lot of imaging. And we also have a new chief of the Department of Laboratory Medicine. The NIH Clinical Center is sort of at a critical point. We had a number of people who'd been there for years and years and years and years and helped make the clinical center the great place that it is. And many of those people are now at a point where they're stepping down or they're cutting back on their activities, they're retiring, they're moving on to other things. And we spend a lot of time trying to find the next group of people to step up and to continue the aspiration to excellence and greatness that we think is supposed to characterize our clinical center. We also have a patient advisory group. And we celebrated the 20th anniversary of the Patient Advisory Group. A few of these people have been part of the Patient Advisory Group almost since it was founded. And and not pictured in this group, but a member of the Patient Advisory Group who is familiar to some of you, a young woman named Christina Hartman. And I don't know whether Christina is here or not. She said she would see me at Rare Disease Day. But Christina represents the rare disease community and their families very, very well. And she's new to the group, but I think will be a great addition. This is what we do at the NIH Clinical Center. So we have protocols involving 552 rare diseases, and that's about half, a little over half of our protocols involve rare diseases. Now, some of those are natural history studies. Now, if you're a cynic, then you know what a natural history study is. It's a study. It's a protocol where you admire the disease. Okay, and admiring the disease is sort of important to getting to know something about it, but it's not enough. And so, what I would like for you to take home from this slide is that there's almost 440 of these trials where we're trying to treat the disease. So 438 clinical trials. That's about 40% of our principal investigators are involved in rare disease research of some kind. And you can see that about 57% of all the clinical center patients are enrolled in a rare disease protocol. And so not all of those have the rare disease, but that's the vast majority of them do. And you can see in the graph below the institutes, and that's a fairly broad, that's not quite everybody that does work in the clinical center, but that's just about everybody. There's a display at noon that I hope some of you will visit. It is it's put there by the Office of Patient Recruitment. Now, some of you may have talked to the Office of Patient Recruitment. Some of you may have had your connection to the NIH begin with the Office of Patient Recruitment. These are people that you talk to and you hardly ever see. They're in one of the smaller outbuildings on this campus, and their job is to field requests from patients and family members and providers and anybody else who's interested, advocacy groups. If you want to know whether we have a protocol at the NIH that involves the disease that you have a special attachment to, then they can help you figure that out. They have a website called Search the Studies. They will keep patients and family members on the line however long it takes to work through the Search the Studies website and see if we have something for that patient. You can see the number of total calls that received. Sometimes people, if they have to wait for a minute, they hang up. But total calls handled, there's actually a very low call abandonment rate. We also field requests by email. Some people would much rather do it by email. And the referrals means that when you talk to somebody in the patient recruitment office and we think you might qualify for one of our protocols, then we will turn you over to a study coordinator, typically a nurse who knows in detail the inclusion criteria, the exclusion criteria for the protocol, and then decide whether it's time. This could go on to something else. And you can see that roughly 1 out of 4 of the patients that go on to a referral wind up being enrolled in one of our studies. And just in terms of these numbers, this is a very significant source of patients for our clinical activity. And the online business and the phone call business, patients finding us has become an increasingly important part of our work. And I think particularly in the rare disease community, these kinds of connections are really important. You can tour the clinical center. We would very much welcome you. It's a little bit of a hike, but it's not that far. I did it this morning. I'll go back the other way. It's actually downhill as you leave here. It's coming back will be the hard part. There is a patient recruitment exhibit in the posters and exhibit area, and then in session 4, you're going to hear from Mandy Mansoure, who is a program coordinator in the Clinical Research Volunteer Program, NIH Clinical Center Office of Patient Recruitment. And so I would encourage you to visit, to talk to Mandy, listen to her presentation. I'd encourage you to see the visit. Happy Rare Disease Day, and again, it's our honor to be a partner in this exercise.